Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Matt, and welcome back to Crypto Kings. In today's video, we're going to be talking about exactly what Shiba Inu is doing today. I know so many of you guys have been wanting to know exactly what is going on, and I think it's time to get into it. So if you guys are new, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and let's get right into it, folks. So if you guys have not already seen what Shib here is up to, essentially it is a pretty quiet day, to be honest with you. We are having around a 3% dip, which is definitely not all that bad when it comes down to it. A market cap here of still $31 billion and some volume decrease, an actually massive volume decrease. And when you compare this to where we were around a week ago, the volume is like literally a fifth of where it was, which is kind of crazy in a way to think about it, that something like this could be all this volatile. But really, it is nice, again, to go away from that volatility for a little bit, just to have a little bit of a time for it to cool off. Because, again, the price changes really come down to a lot of volatile volume. I mean, really, the higher the volume, essentially, the more susceptible we are to a flash surge or a flash crash. And sometimes that is good, of course. Sometimes that can be very beneficial for the long run, but definitely sometimes those flash crashes can be a little bit scary. So it is nice to see a decrease in the volume sometimes, just to give us a little bit of time to cool off and let things kind of settle as they should. So that is all nice. And again, a good thing as well is when the volume is down, it means people aren't selling. For the most part, it means people are not liquidating everything and the whales aren't jumping ship yet. So that definitely does have a couple of good signs to me. When it comes down to looking at what the graph is up to, you guys can see we are seeing essentially what looks to be kind of a consolidation here right around the 57, 58-ish line. And this can be very well attributed to the fact that, again, this cup and handle pattern here, this cup, this is the handle, and instead of having a bullish run after that handle, we decided to just kind of consolidate, and that is a-okay. If you wanted to describe this slightly differently, you could describe this as the cup and this whole thing here as the handle. This is an option as well. It really depends on your prerogative, but either way, the result is kind of the same. It's essentially just a rounded bottom here, headed off to a little bit of a slide, and then some consolidation, and that is very, very normal. But again, if you cut off this area here, if you were to just redraw the right half of this drawing, you guys can see that is basically a flag with a lot of different little jagged kind of movements after, which is inherently very bullish. So again, we have the flagpole right here, and then some bullish movements here. So again, it's going to probably make a few of these V shapes here for, I would suggest, probably the next day or so, maybe the next, several hours, 12 hours or so. But I would see some of those kind of V movements before having eventually some kind of breakout. I think it's only a matter of time, to be honest with you, before we see some kind of breakout. And the reason for that, again, is just because it is passing a lot of these key markers that I see is shutting down a lot of that bearish sentiment. Now, when we look at this, there's one very clear line of support that I can draw to sort of illustrate what this is doing right now, and that's right around the 54-55 line, because this here as a line of support, you guys can see, was essentially very pivotal in causing it to fall all the way down to 43, because we in the past had fallen through this line of support, and then, of course, on the way back up, we have used it to surge up to around 65. We bounced right back off of it here, off of the 54. We've bounced off it again here, off of the 56 here. So this line, 54-55, to me at least seems to be a very, very safe option when it comes to determining a line of support. And overall, something pretty good. Now, speaking of things that are pretty good, check out Webull, guys. Top of the link down below in the description. It is so easy to do. If you guys want to get started trading stocks, crypto, all that good stuff, you guys can use my link and, of course, get started over there. If you guys use my link, you'll get 2 free stocks valued up to $2,300. I always do appreciate it, guys. When it comes down to it, this is overall, again, looking like a period of consolidation. I'm sure in the near future, we could look at this and say, yeah, this is definitely looking like either a symmetrical wedge or a falling wedge. And, it's really tough to tell right now, but I could see something like this happening in the near future. Of course, we're at a little bit short of a time frame to make this assessment, but again, in the near future, it's very possible you could see a falling wedge of sorts or a symmetrical wedge like I just showed. So those are two definite possibilities. When we check the relative strength index, you guys can see it's gonna be right around 50, of course, because there's nothing overly volatile going on. Now, had the volume here been, extremely, geared towards one way or extremely high, this relative strength index might be a little bit different. But the fact of the matter is, what we're working with right now is just so extremely mild that it's keeping it right around 50. It's not particularly surging near the top to where it's being overbought and it's getting ready to crash, and it's not particularly surging near the bottom where it's being oversold and it's ready to have some kind of weird rebound. We're not seeing either of those things right now because of where the relative strength index is sitting. When we check the MACD, you guys can see here, it is giving us a very sort of neutral sign here because these two, of course, have converged. The red and the blue here have converged. So it's giving us very little information. I would say a soft buy right now, really, or more of a neutral kind of standing. So definitely not an awful lot from the MACD that we could gather here. When we check the Fibonacci retracement, you guys can see essentially it is going to, of course, outline everything we need to know about this most recent run. So it has the bottom here at 54 and then the top here at around 59. And essentially all it is really showing is that from 54 to 59, it has essentially succeeded without all that much difficulty. Really, what it comes down to is finding out where these lines of support are going to be. It looks as if the 78.6% line came in clutch here at the 55, 56 price point. So it definitely looks as if it has sustained itself above that here, which is of course good. And it's very possible we could bounce off the 50 or bounce off the 38.2. Doesn't really matter. What it really matters is that we are able to still consolidate here in some way, shape, or form. Again, the goal is not to see very volatile shifts in price, but rather to gradually converge at, the same price, whether it's 57, 58, somewhere around those lines, and try to, in the near future, use that as a means to build off of for some kind of bull movement. So again, as long as it's able to stay, in my opinion, within, what the Fibonacci retracement, has outlined here, as long as it's able to stay, above 55 and stay, somewhat within what is, acceptable for this, that is definitely good. Anything above 55, really, I would say is good for the near future. And of course, that 55 line is the line of support that I drew as well. So it does seem that the Fibonacci retracement and my personal estimates do agree. But all around, guys, again, everything is definitely looking good. When we check the moving average cross, you guys can see it is going to give me an error, of course, because that is always what TradingView is going to do when I add too many indicators here. But the moving average cross, you guys can see here, again, it's showing it's right around neutral. So, we have the bull movement here, bear movement here, nothing particularly crazy. It is right around neutral, so they're right around converging. Nothing particularly interesting going on there. So again, all around, guys, a relatively quiet day. We have a lot to look forward to as well. There's still so much going on here with FTX having recently listed these. Of course, the Robinhood petition. I mean, there's a lot that Satoshi has been tweeting about that is, again, good for the future. Of course, the circulating supply issue, yada yada. A lot of things that will be fixed in the near future, I think, and ironed out for some listings. So all around, definitely a good idea. With that being said, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Hope you guys have enjoyed. If you did, make sure to drop a like and subscribe for more daily SHIB vids. With that being said, everybody, my name is Matt. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.